So my name is Victoria Corless. I'm currently an associate editor and science communicator at Wiley Publishing.
So Victoria, you actually didn't complete your full graduate school at McGill. You actually visited McGill for it. Am I correct?
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate degree at McMaster University, and I was accepted into their cooperative education program. So that gave me the opportunity to work in a bunch of different labs, like all over Canada and in different parts of the world. One of my co-op placements was actually at McGill. So I was working in the lab of Dr. Corinne Auclair, where we were working on the oxidation of inactive bonds using cytochrome P450 enzymes. For my PhD at the University of Toronto, that was more synthetic chemistry oriented. So I was focused on creating molecular building blocks that contain boron with the ultimate purpose of applying that to drug discovery. And I think, the point of that, like the theme of my PhD and co-op, was just to try to expand my horizons, like not to sound cheesy, but just to get exposure to as many fields and as many subjects as I could, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But I figured the best way to do that would be to just try new things.
So with that diverse skill set, what did you do right after graduating?
I didn't have a job lined up right away. My mentality there was more, I didn't want to make a stressful situation more stressful. And if I'm being honest, I wanted a break after grad school. But it was ultimately because I wanted to explore what career options were available to me. Like I knew maybe a couple months after I defended, I had my first interview with the Royal Society of Chemistry, actually, for a managing editor position. And I just completely bombed that interview. It was just so embarrassing. And I think it's just because I wasn't ready. I didn't really know how to interview. And it was disheartening at first. I just thought, oh man, I don't know how to interview. How am I ever gonna get a job? But one piece of advice I can give is that interviewing is a skill just like any other that you can learn. And then actually someone told me this, and it really helped take a lot of the pressure off, is that an interview is just as much for you as it is for the company. So you want to make sure that the job you're applying for is a good fit for you. For some reason, that made me feel better. After that, when other interviews popped up, I Googled the 50 most common interview questions and just wrote out responses and practiced them to the point where it was almost boring giving them. And that honestly helped so much.
For a student in my position, what would you maybe recommend to get some skills in that area? How did you go about that?
So I was talking to people in grad school about how I wanted to be an editor and I wanted to write. And then when a writing opportunity came up, someone thought of me and passed it along. But with Research to Reality, I just emailed the editors there and was like, hey, I had this idea for a story. Would you be interested in publishing it? And then submitting a draft to them. And there is some rejection involved in that, but that's just the nature of it. And then just looking for people that would give me in. So I just asked my professor, who do you know at RSC? Because they have Chemistry World and a lot of blogs, what can I do? So I think it's just the most important thing is not being afraid to just put your name out there and advocate for yourself. It's so cringe and it can be so hard to do, but you just gotta just do it sometimes, right?
Well, it seems to have worked for you now that you're working with Wiley. So how is that experience? Can you maybe give a little overview of the company dynamic and what it's like to work for such a big company?
I really like working for Wiley. I think they take care of their employees very well. And something that was really important for me was having a work-life balance when I had a career. Because in grad school, you're expected to be in the lab 12, 14 hours a day. And I was just long-term, this isn't healthy for me. Maybe some people love it and that's completely fine. But for me, I don't want my work to be the absolute focus of my life. And you're also given a lot of freedom. If there are projects that you want to pursue, working for a big company means there are a lot of resources. So if we're hey, we want to try this out, or what if we explored this avenue? Like generally there's no problem. And I also really like being able to interact with colleagues like all over the world, like in China and the States and Australia. And there's also the potential to work out of so many different offices. So it's cool.
I was just wondering if you could think of any ways for current graduate students to diverse their skill set and maybe look at other career options.
What worked for me was just talking to as many people as I could. When I did go to conferences, I would just go around to different booths and ask people about their jobs. Like I would seek out people in publishing and ask them, what is your day-to-day like? What are your job tasks? What skills are you guys looking for when you hire? Can I have your email? Can you put me in touch with someone who might be able to give me some experience, that type of thing. And one website I remember when I was in grad school, I think it's called The Cheeky Chemist, where it's essentially just a website for people looking for alternative careers after life in the lab.
What's one piece of advice you would give current graduate students?
Embrace not wanting to be in the lab anymore, because it's not the worst thing in the world. There are a lot of really cool things that you can do career-wise. And then, yeah, just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I'm naturally very shy and introverted, so it was definitely a learning curve. But you have to advocate for yourself because like, nobody else is going to, right?